Well, here's a typical row house on the East Coast. This is about how much energy that building uses in a year, 39,000 kWh per year. And here's the size of the roof, 16 by 40. Could this building get to net zero energy? It could, but it would need a roof 5 times bigger than it has. And so we've got to reduce the consumption to what the roof can produce, right? So that's about 80% reduction in energy consumption. We all know that heating and cooling of buildings is responsible for more than half of all energy consumed in the building. So my question is, what's the best heating and cooling system, most efficient, most cost-effective heating and cooling system out there? I think it's a coat. And that is the essence of what passive house is really about. It's a fabric first. You're focusing on the fabric of the building first. And in so doing, by building a super insulated and really, really airtight building, you can reduce the energy consumption by up to 80% within that building. And it boils down to just simply good building science. Continuous insulation on the outside of the building, thermal bridge-free construction. You know, if you can make a simple compact shape, it's got to be an airtight building. But when you make the building airtight, you then have to give it a lung to breathe. So you have to bring in fresh air and you have to exhaust stale air continuously. And then just obviously, you know, optimal solar orientation, energy efficient appliances and so forth. Big fan of really thinking about the importance of a roof, especially in an urban environment, because a roof has to do so much. It has to manage stormwater. It has to generate the power that a building needs. It has to, you know, open space is a commodity. So it has to be amenity spaces, green spaces and so forth. So the green roof below this solar array actually keeps the temperature lower on the roof. And so it makes the PV panels that much more efficient. And when you build a passive house building, you've got to make it tight. You've got to make it as tight as you can do, and as you can. And as I mentioned, then you've got to bring fresh air into the building and you've got to vent it properly. And so the first thing that you have to do once you build it is to measure just how tight it is. And 0.49 ACH50 essentially means that if you take the volume of the building, cut it in half, 0.5, that volume, half the volume of this building can leak out within an hour. That is super, super tight. Do you know what a typical building would be? It would be 7 ACH50. 7 times the volume of typical code-built buildings leak out within an hour under a certain pressure. And so a passive house is essentially, you know, 14 times more airtight than a typical code building. And I must emphasize, airtightness is actually more important than insulation. And airtightness doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's really just about attention to detail.